Welcome to the Golden Playbook. Today we are going to be doing another DraftKings best ball draft. But today we have a caveat. We have one rule that we are going to do during this draft, and that is to act like tight ends don't exist. We don't care about tight ends. They only take up one roster spot. They're so up and down. So we are not going to be caring about tight ends until the 17th round, when we are going to rattle off 4 straight in the final 4 rounds and hope that we hit a dart throw. Hope we get a Juwan Johnson type season. Because even if we hit one of these guys who have a nice tight end 8, tight end 10 finish, we will have, a solid floor at tight end. Obviously, you're going to be below the median, but with this method, you're hoping to, blow the other teams away in the other positions. So we're going to mega weight on tight ends, and we're going to do it out of the 4th slot. All we have to do is hit on one. Obviously, we have 4 scores to choose from. Hopefully, we ping pong some weeks back and forth. But for now, we are going to act like tight ends do not exist, and we are going to brave that 30-second shot clock to do it. It takes so long compared to the 20 seconds. I don't know why it's such a difference, but it feels that way. So we are up in 2 picks. Bijan Puka go in front of us. Other than that, we are going to be drafting normal, taking our best available, unless it happens to be a tight end, in which case we will wait. So we have one more pick in front of us. So we are going to end up with Gibbs or Jamar Chase, which is obviously a fantastic start. A lot of the, beginning round ADPs between Underdog and DraftKings have really been, not all that different. So guy in front of us goes Jamar Chase. We'll happily take Jahmyr Gibbs in the 4 slot. A nice pass catching back on a PPR site. So great start to our 0 tight end strategy. All right, fairly chalky first round after Gibbs. We went McCaffrey, JSN, Jonathan Taylor, Amon-Ra, CeeDee Lamb, James Cook, Devon Achane. The guy at the turn does get a little weird with it, going Hampton and Henry. But again, the RBs have been flying off the boards. Another thing, a lot of times I find myself grabbing Brock Bowers at this 209 spot. So we'll have to see, if he would make it back to us. Obviously, we're not going to take him due to today's challenge, but this is a team I would often start with Gibbs and then Bowers, as no tight ends have been taken yet in this one. So maybe everyone in this draft is having the same strategy, as Trey McBride does end up going there at 17. He has been falling a little bit. Used to be almost exclusively a 1-2 turn guy. He is kind of slipping back into that second round a little bit. Jefferson, kind of a guy who has been rising up the rankings, but does make it to the middle of the second here. We've got 2 picks ahead of us. We'll see if one of them take Bowers, help us out, but we will see. All right, so they go Neighbors, Chase Brown ahead of us. So Bowers is available. We're obviously not going to take him. I think we're just going to grab Jeremiah Love here. I don't have a ton of him, and I don't want him to, bite me in the butt if he is an absolute stud of a rookie, which a lot of people are saying he's going to be. I think it depends a lot on the landing spot, but I will take the very slight dipperino on Jeremiah Love, a guy who I have not drafted a lot so far. We got a Gibbs Love start, really liking it through 2 rounds. All right, after Love, it went Bowers, Olave, Rice, and Collins at the turn, and then Josh Allen. Let's see if this guy goes George Pickens. If not, that is pretty much a smash pick for me. He goes Bucky Irving, so we are absolutely going to scoop up Mr. George Pickens, almost 7 spots past ADP, which is very rare this early in a draft. So I thought that the guy to the left of me was going to take that Bowers blessing and start Chase Bowers Pickens, but he, returns the favor and saves me Mr. George Pickens. Very solid start through 3 rounds. Very pleased with it. And only rule, no tight ends. All right, through 3 rounds, this is usually the time where I like to see what other teams are doing, what their strategies may be. We only have 1 person going all wide receivers through 3 rounds, 2 guys going all running backs through 3 rounds, although the guy at the turn did take Adams in the 4th, so not a complete 0 wide receiver strategy there. Both guys who took the early tight ends went with the balanced approach with one of each position. Josh Allen's still the only quarterback off the board, and that guy has 2 receivers with it. So about this range in the draft, I like to see what people are doing, set who they might be trying to set up for later in the draft. If I'm really, paying attention, sometimes I'm just, a little bit preoccupied, so I'm just kind of making my own team as best as I can. But when I'm really kind of here, just focused on the draft board, I like to see what other teams are doing so I can kind of see maybe what they're setting up for later in the draft. All right, we are 1 pick away. We are now on the clock. Luckily, the guy at 42 grabbed Loveland because this is a very solid Loveland team. We have our pick, probably going wide receiver here, either Smith or Burden. I think probably both QBs will be gone if I don't take them in the next round. Let's go ahead and grab Luther Burden. I have a lot of Eagles, a lot of Devonta Smith, a lot of Jalen Hurts. So perhaps we'll set up the Chicago thing. Although if I don't take Caleb at 52, I highly doubt I will get him. But maybe I'll just do a little reach. Let's see what Caleb's ADP is. It is down at 62.8, and this would be up at 52. So maybe it makes sense just to wait, grab another running back or receiver. I already have Dak set up if I want to do that in a couple rounds. So we'll see when the time comes. All right, we're up in 1 pick, and we're going to have our choice between Devonta Smith, who I was, debating grabbing in the 4th round, and RJ Harvey, who is a solid. And we have our pick of both. I feel like I have to go Smith. I know the running back drop-off is steep after Harvey. Oh, man, I'm definitely debating. Let's grab Smith. Let's live a little. It's a full PPR site. Let's grab another wide receiver. You got to start 3 of them things. And there's a slight chance at 69 that Hurts or Caleb is there, although Caleb goes right after us to a non-Chicago team. So I envision the A.J. Brown team over in the 11 slot grabbing Hurts, but you never know. Someone might make it around to us, and we'll probably likely have to grab Dak with one of our next 2 picks if Hurts doesn't fall. All right, we have survived both of the A.J. Brown team's picks. The only other guy that makes sense is this Saquon Barkley team, who's currently on the clock, but he does have Lamar Jackson already. The rest of the teams, of course, you could take a naked Jalen Hurts, but they don't have any correlation yet. So I am hopeful if he makes it through Barkley's team here. There is a slight chance Hurts does fall to us at 69. Of course, Hurts is my most drafted quarterback, so, not really too surprising. If he does fall, that I will absolutely be drafting him. 2 picks away, and Hurts does not quite make it to us. As back-to-back QBs go, we will have to see who's in this range. Drake May is still there, available. Mekhi Lemon to get another wide receiver. Although we don't really need a 4th wide receiver. Do we just grab May and then You know what? Let's actually do BTJ and see if Lawrence comes back around to us. 2 of the 3 teams on this side of me already have, quarterbacks, and they don't have any Jacksonville stuff going on. So maybe we do a little BTJ with Trevor Lawrence. Hopefully that works out for us. As Mike Evans goes, he did kind of announce today that he's willing to test free agency, so he's not a lock to come back to the Bucs. I think it's still a very strong possibility that he does, but he is willing to perhaps play with a different team for 2026. All right, and we are on the clock. Mekhi Lemon does fall there a little bit. Drake May is still there as well, but we're going to just grab Trevor Lawrence because we did set it up. Drake May, a nice little faller, though. He is currently 15 picks past ADP. People still have a little bit of salty taste from the Super Bowl in their heads, I guess. But we got a QB, we got 4 pretty solid wide receivers and 2 anchor running backs. Like I said, we don't have to worry about tight end until round 17. So now we just keep piling on QB, RB, wide receiver, and that team is putting a good squad together there. Got Hurts in May, Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, Jefferson McLaurin. Depending how he builds out his running back and receiver depth, the quarterback position is strong for the guy in the 6 slot, it looks like, 7 slot. And as you can see, round 6 and 7, typically round 8 as well, has been, a QB haven. A lot of people are now drafting 3 quarterbacks, so I think it's kind of pushing up these mid-tier guys, up a round or 2 from where they used to go. But definitely a lot of people, wanting to at least get 1 QB in this range, if not their second quarterback. Prescott does go there to the auto drafter, which is a little bit annoying, but we will find another way to make this team work. We might need to grab our second QB in these next 2 picks just to feel a little bit of comfortability with our quarterback position. All right, and we are back on the clock. So I think Purdy's really kind of the end of a tier in my opinion. And the guys to the right of me are thin at quarterback. So we're going to go ahead and grab Purdy now. We can worry about stacking him later if we choose. But with only 2 quarterbacks combined in the 3 teams to my left, if we didn't do that, we were definitely not going to see Purdy on the way back around, especially with the guy at the end having Pearsall. I'm sure he was hoping for Purdy to fall. Sorry to ruin that for you there, pal. All right, we are back on the clock. Each guy to my left has 2 tight ends, which is totally fine. I think we just grab one of these veteran running backs. With our Gibbs and Love, we just need a guy who is going to be pretty consistent. And I think Tony Pollard is going to fit the bill just fine. Don't have a ton of Tony P because I'm kind of a Dowdle guy. But I like Pollard, even if he's not on Tennessee, probably especially if he's not on Tennessee. I think he's got a good year or 2 left in him. So I love adding Pollard to a team where I have some youthful running backs. I know Gibbs is kind of in his 3rd or 4th year now, but some younger guys, more explosive. So now we have, a solid 10 to 12 PPR points on a given week out of Tony Pollard. Nothing sexy, but you need those guys on your team just to add a little solidity. So we have a 2-3-4 going, and we are just going to continue to pound out running backs and receivers. We could probably grab our 3rd QB a little bit earlier than we normally would, considering our last 4 are for sure tight ends. There's no reason to wait, too long on our 3rd quarterback. If we have a good option on, our next 2 picks, I could easily see us grabbing QB number 3 this early. Tyreek Hill pushed up to the beginning of the 10th round with the news of his release, most likely going to sign with the Kansas City Chiefs, as I've been saying for the last couple of videos, but you never know, he could end up somewhere else. Either way, I think not being in Miami is probably a plus for Tyreek. Now you just got to see if he is healthy, if that knee is going to be able to hold up for him. If he could add any, resemblance of an old Tyreek Hill, probably still a steal where he's being drafted. He was like a 13th, 14th round pick when these things started, so he is steadily moving up the board. I have a healthy share of Tyreek over on Underdog. I don't know if I have him on a DraftKings draft yet, but Tyreek still probably a good value where he's being drafted. All right, we are 1 pick away. Let's go and see who is here. Algier would be a solid add to this team. I think Tyler Shuck, honestly, as well, except he goes right in front of us. So I think we grab Algier, who's a free agent here, and then we can queue up. I like Godwin in this range. I have no problem grabbing Darnold or Mendoza. And then, not strange, Mendoza. I like Jaden Higgins as well. Let's see. And Jonah Coleman for that matter. So plenty of guys I still like in this area. We kind of solidified our running back room a little bit more with the veterans Pollard and Algier to add to our firepower at the top. And maybe we'll grab QB3 here or one of these wide receivers that, add a little depth to our wide receiver core. All right, we are up next. A little bit surprised that Wet Pavement did not grab Godwin, considering he is the Baker guy. I think we will happily grab Chris Godwin here. And having Lawrence and Purdy, I don't feel the need to grab QB3. So having that Godwin value drop to a 7 spots past ADP, I like to scoop that up. And then probably on the next 2 picks, we will grab QB3 if a guy like CJ Stroud is still available or someone of that nature. All right, couple picks away here. We'll run on QBs and tight ends. 5 QBs off the board since we last picked. So I imagine the options are fairly slim. We are looking at Cam Ward. Kyler Murray could be an interesting for this guy. Just take an upshot swing. Let's see, what do the guys to my left have? They all only have 1, so we should probably grab our guy now. Let's grab Kyler. I think this is a solid Kyler team. We have the solidity of Lawrence and Purdy. So now, even if Kyler gives us just a couple of good games with rushing upside, he will pay off this 12th round price tag. And then there's plenty of running backs and wide receivers in this range that I, don't mind grabbing at all. In fact, if Travis Hunter makes it around to us to add to our Jacksonville stuff, I just can't help grabbing a cornerback when at all possible in these fantasy drafts. Give me the defensive players all day. All right, Travis Hunter goes right before us. We get sniped. But we will take our consolation prize of James Conner here. Let's see, how far past ADP is that? 14 picks past ADP. James Conner, a guy likely to be cut, but he is a veteran. He's going to get signed somewhere, have plenty of touches and workload. Perfect running back 5 for this build. So we have, 3 more picks of running backs and wide receivers. We'll probably grab 1 more running back, 2 more wide receivers, and then you know what we're doing with those final 4 picks, baby. We are grabbing any and all scrub tight ends that are available there. So we are getting down to it. I really like the whole squad here. We have a nice mix of youthfulness, veteran leadership, high floor, high upside guys. So I think we're really balancing this out well. Now we just got to bring it home and hit on one of those 4 tight ends. That is the big key to this team. All right, we are a couple picks away. Mark Andrews being a 14th round pick is, insane to me. With Isaiah likely moving on in free agency, I don't see how Mark Andrews isn't just a shoe-in for a top 10 tight end this season. So I don't understand his price. I think people are just a little bit, they have a little bit of Mark Andrews fatigue, if you will. All right, let's see what we got here in the running back wide receiver range. I don't mind Rachaad White or Jonathan Brooks as my final RBs. Let's see. I haven't taken much Josh Downs at all. I think he still has promising upside with, if Michael Pittman Jr. or Alec Pierce leaves, I think he's going to be potentially in line for some more work. And then let's queue up Rachaad White. Let's queue up Jonathan Brooks. Hopefully one of these 2 running backs will make it around to us. But yeah, I haven't really grabbed a lot of Josh Downs. Comment down below what your kind of thoughts and opinions are on Downs. Is he going to have an increased role? Is he just going to continue to be the part-time slot guy who is uber talented but just isn't getting the targets? Probably, not great until Daniel Jones gets healthy, although they didn't really display that much of, a lot of chemistry together, I would say. But let me know in the comments what you think of Josh Downs. I still think he's a talented guy, but just hasn't made it work. He is, everyone's favorite pick for the last couple of years. He's finally, shot down in ADP. He's at, He's a 14th round pick at this point, but comment down below. All right, and we are next up. We are for sure guaranteed one of our running back choices, and now we are guaranteed our choice. With it being PPR, Rachaad White is definitely a good option, but since we've gone 3 veteran running backs in a row, we are going to, go back to the youthful side of things and grab one of my favorite picks this late in drafts in Jonathan Brooks. I just think Dowdle moves in free agency for sure. If they re-sign him, obviously this is a terrible take. I think Chuba Hubbard has proven that he's good, not great. He's going to allow a second running back to get in the mix. And I think Jonathan Brooks, still a talented guy, 2nd round pick. He just needs to get healthy. He's been working with a physical therapist who has had really good results. He is a guy who worked with Christian Watson. A lot of these guys who have come back fairly quickly and efficiently from injury. He is working with that physical therapist. So I'm a little biased there. So I think Jonathan Brooks is going to be back healthy. If he can carve himself out a role this season, I think he's talented enough guy to really, produce some fantasy points, especially this late in drafts. I think he's a great shot in the dark. All right, we are 3 picks away here. We have one more wide receiver to get until we are strictly onto the tight ends. Any of the 3, Njoku, Likely, and Schultz, would have been great to, follow us there into the 17th round. I think each of those guys are veterans, should have, decent opportunities with, their new team that they find. Schultz will probably stay with Houston, but Njoku and Likely will be on different teams, and I think they're just going to be able to carve themselves out a role. I think they're great values. Just to add, a little bit of veteran presence to your tight end room. If we weren't doing what we were doing, I probably would have grabbed one of those in the 15th round. But our wide receiver options are, obviously not great. I do love me some Adonai Mitchell. I have a hard time not grabbing him. Trey Harris I like as well. Omar Cooper Jr. Let's go ahead and grab a rookie in Cooper Jr. And then just to give us a look at the tight ends available, obviously pretty grim. We're to the Parkinson, Ferguson, Taylor, Gunnar Helm. We're going to have to take some shots on younger guys and just hope one of them has, the spike season. But we have 4 shots at it. That's pretty solid in this range. I think we're going to hit on one. I actually really like this team so far. We got Gibbs, Love, Pickens, Burden, Devonta Smith, BTJ with Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy, Tony Pollard, Tyler Algier, Chris Godwin, Kyler Murray, James Conner, Josh Downs, Jonathan Brooks, Omar Cooper Jr. And I think we're going to find a little diamond in the rough in our tight end room. Really like how this is setting up. Alrighty, we are on the clock. Only Parkinson has gone since we were up. So we get our pick between these young guys here. I think Gunnar Helm is going to be my favorite of the bunch here. Chiga Okonkwo should be leaving in free agency. I think that Tennessee offense should hopefully obviously be improved. Cam Ward going into his 2nd season. I think Gunnar Helm has a great chance to be their starting tight end. So we're going Helm with our first of 4 bullets to hit a tight end home run here. All right, we are just a couple picks away. People are really draining the clock. A handful of tight ends have gone since we are up. Otten goes right before us. See what our options are. Stowers, who's kind of the consensus top rookie, is there. Freiermuth, Waller. I think Stowers taking a shot on a young guy there. And then we guys keep seeing. I think Arroyo could be an interesting year 2 guy as well. Jolly, an interesting rookie. And then we should probably do one of these vets. Either Freiermuth or Ingram. Not that I really like them as picks, but if these young guys take a little bit of time to come on, maybe the vets can give us some viable scores in the first couple of weeks. So Helm and Stowers are our first 2 bullets in our attempt to hit this tight end home run in the final 4 rounds. Comment down below what you think of this strategy. Are you willing to try it? If so, comment down below if you like the team, if you dislike the team. I actually really like how the squads turned out, at least from, a standing of QB, running back, and receiver are very strong, as they should be if you're waiting till the end on tight end. All right, we have our pick of the litter here. Let's go ahead and grab Freiermuth. I believe Jonnu should be gone in free agency. Darnell Washington broke his arm rather, and is mostly a blocking guy anyways. They'll probably add someone, but Freiermuth actually had a decent season last year, so we'll grab him as our vet, and then we'll take another stab at a rookie, second-year guy in the final round. But make sure you smash that subscribe button if you're liking this best ball content. Obviously, the combine is coming up, meaning free agency and the draft are right around the corner. We will have content around that, what it means for, guys' value in these drafts and in your standard redraft. So make sure you smash that subscribe button so you can stay tuned for that content as those days come. Smash the like button while you're down there to help, grow the channel, support the videos. I really do appreciate all your guys' support. The one thing I do like about this style we're going for is it feels not bad if you look at these tight ends that are being drafted in around like 14. For instance, us having Eli Stowers and James Conner compared to Theo Johnson and Najee Harris, that's a 2v2 I'd be willing to take on our side of things. Or Josh Downs and Pat Freiermuth versus AJ Barner and Ryan Flournoy. I think those are 2v2s I like our side better. I think it's kind of a quieter tight end range up there. As we are on the clock for our final one, I'm going to pick between Jolly and Arroyo. As a Seahawks guy, I'm just going to grab me some Elijah Arroyo, who admittedly was one of my higher drafted players last year. Didn't obviously pan out. Maybe year two, he gets a bigger role as, a receiving tight end. I know AJ Barner's a young guy, but I have faith in Arroyo. Anyways, final squad: Gibbs, Love, Pickens, Burden, Devonta Smith, BTJ, Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy, Tony Pollard, Tyler Algier, Chris Godwin, Kyler Murray, James Conner, Josh Downs, Jonathan Brooks, Omar Cooper Jr., and then the 4 tight ends: Gunnar Helm, Eli Stowers, Pat Freiermuth, and Elijah Arroyo. I really do appreciate it if you made it this far. Make sure you smash the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. Comment down below what you think of this team. Is this a strategy you are willing to try? Appreciate all the love and the support. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.